right. Well, thank you for meeting today for the City Gladstone Blue Ribbon Committee. I appreciate all of you for being here. Really appreciate the last 3 or 4 months that you've been involved with the process. So, the city's been transparent on the whole process here and making sure you guys have been instrumental attending the open houses and being there and going through this whole process. We did have to talk. There was 2 proposals. One withdrew. We're not going to be talking about the second one that withdrew. We'll be going through the one proposal here today from Weldon Development for adaptive reuse. And we'll be talking about that. We'll get like the 7 categories that we had in there that we came up with the scoring matrix there. So we'll go around table and talk about that, have a open conversation with the group here at the end. There is a scorecard there. You need to put your name on that and your scores. And if we have consensus, this is a project that the Blue Ribbon Committee would like to recommend to the City Council. I'd ask that, if there's some volunteers that would like to come to the City Council and have that discussion there around the project there. So again, really appreciate everyone's time working on this. So it's been a lot of fun. We've done a lot of community engagement, from the time we've done the surveys to the open houses that we've had there from the community coming in there. So it's great when I have members like you like this to help, either recommend moving the proposal forward from that standpoint too. And I think at the end of the day, it's up to City Council to make that final decision, but this has been a community effort. So with that, let's start with a quick round of introductions. I'm John LaGarza and work for the City Gladstone Economic Development.
Natalie Smith, Chair of the Planning Commission.
Kyle Donovan, parent and engaged community member.
I'm Steve Perkins. I work for the Plaquemines County Office of Economic Development. I'm here at my capacity.
I'm Nicole Quackenbush, School Board Vice Chair and Vice President.
I'm Kathy Wiseman, and I am a resident, long-term resident of Gladstone and retired public servant.
I want to be a retired public servant.
It's the best job ever.
I'm Jackie Betts, City Administrator.
All right. So the first category, if you turn to the RFP scoring criteria, was really the first one talked about the project.
John, I just want to apologize. This is Andrew Labonte. I'm joining you guys remotely, and I'm having a heck of a time hearing you guys. So I'll have my video off and my phone awkwardly close to my ear here. But John, I just want to thank you for all your work on this project. I'm really excited about everybody who's here helping out. And with that, I take my video off.
Andrew, we're going to move to the dais so you can hear us. Can you hear me okay?
So much better. I really appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Okay. We're going to move up there. Is
Give
that
us
okay?
a minute, Andrew, and we'll readjust.
Okay. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. I really wanted to be there in person, but today it didn't quite work out.
You just said anywhere.
And John, before we get started, could you remind us, as far as the open house, how many developers ended up coming to that open house? Just
Yes.
curious.
Yeah. No, happy to, before we start on the first one to talk about
Thank you.
that. We had around 3 or 4 architects that came. Weldon, I do have to say, was there the whole time. They were at the open house for the whole time. He's been very engaged in the community. Through the process here, I would say, from that standpoint. Overall, I think we probably had like 10 people that came to the developer open house process through that process there. So Steve even came by.
Nice. Are we allowed to have a postmortem about what happened with the
other RFP?
No, we're not talking about the other R.
Like we can't at all
No.
copy?
We can't find out why they withdrew?
We can talk, they withdrew because there was through this whole process, the city's been open and transparent in this process. So with that, they couldn't agree to what we saw as the process here, making it open and transparent, so.
Okay, I'm sorry. One more question. So I don't remember, but did our RFP say like this will go through a committee, then this will be presented to city council? Like were all of those steps outlined?
Yep.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, we have had this ad hoc committee, went to city council.
Yeah.
City council approved this ad hoc committee.
Yep.
We've done numerous surveys, numerous outreach to the park events. We had the open house for the community. I don't know if you came down, but we had probably close to 80 people that came down to the community open house.
Yeah, no, my only question was, does the developer know that this was supposed to go through this ad hoc committee and then to city
It's the
council?
responsibility of the developers to do their due diligence.
Totally agree.
So-
Yeah, totally agree. I was just making sure that we did our due diligence to communicate
Yep.
the publicity to them. Yeah,
Yep.
noted.
Okay, so with that, our first category is project vision and alignment with the community goals. So how does the committee feel about the one proposal we have here from Weldon Development with the vision for the site, priorities that you've heard and read from the community engagement, the survey? And we can just kind of take a round table and start from the left and go through the right in each one of these. That works for you.
All right. Oh, sorry, Kathy.
So this, for me, as I read these two proposals, the Weldon company really ticked off a lot of the things that I wanted for this site, for the economic development opportunities. And so the project vision and alignment with our community goals, I really thought they hit that pretty strong. They want to preserve that property, which is something I'm interested in because it's a unique building and I love that building. It's a mid-century modern look that is kind of unique for Gladstone. And when I looked at the proposal of the pictures, I think they did a really good job. I also like that they have been thoughtful about some parking. And I liked that they are interested in using this as a public gathering space and open to community activities, low cost or no cost community activities. This site, while not really on Main Street, it's a little bit off. So it's kind of a 1 foot in Main Street and 1 foot in a neighborhood location. Still sits really well with the architecture and the look of our community. So I really liked that. I thought it was thoughtful. So I'm pretty pleased with the proposal for how it would fit into our community.
Great, thank you.
Just to echo Kathy's sentiment, I would agree that as far as our different categories, I thought that this proposal aligned well with our community goals as far as preserving the existing architecture, activating or just being a gathering place for our community, fostering community connections. And I just appreciated that and just preserving some of that local architecture. So thank you.
Okay, I actually had a different take on that. I thought that, in part of the description for the project vision and alignment with community goals is small business opportunities. To me, this kind of just seems like a giant open drinking space. And I know that, they talked about children's games or, like the ability for low or no cost gatherings, which I can totally appreciate. but it doesn't seem super intentional with programming within our community. It seems sort of like they're just mimicking the two that they've already done. So I actually didn't score it very high in this big category because I didn't think it was super intentional. I thought it was just kind of rinse and repeat from what they've done in other communities. So yeah.
Yeah, I found it it was I felt like they fell in line. I like the idea of, you know, just not tearing the building down, the reusing the structure. You know, I just ate lunch in Camas today at a you know, a site similar, and they had, you know, the turf out there and games, and there's kids out there playing. I think it'd be a suitable place, you know. I'd like to have something like that here too. I think it would fit in. So I found it to align with our goals.
Thank you.
I feel the same as Andrell. My only concern is noise, because there are neighborhoods residential there. So, you know, because sometimes these places will have live music. I don't know what their hours of operation are going to be, but that would be my concern. But-
They called out till 9 p.m.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
Okay. What was the time? Does anybody?
11 to 9 p.m.
Okay. Then, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Thank you.
I've kind of done a 180 on this. I'm glad that we're preserving the building. I've been to their location in Canby and it fits very well with that area of the neighborhood. I thought at first, do we really need another bar in downtown Gladstone? But at the same time, places like this and some of the wine stores and whatever become places where, yes, people can come and drink, but they can bring their kids. And that one in Canby just rocks with birthday parties and all kinds of things, really informal. So if it's done well, it could be an awesome place. I don't know if the city's interested in reducing the price to $50,000, which was mentioned in here. And that's, I guess, a discussion for another day. But I think a lot of times places like this would help the businesses, or it wouldn't think so, but it does help bring business to the other retailers and folks down there. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's a really good point. I did go visit the one in Canby and talk to some of the business owners around there. And it was, you know, the traffic that they have. The other thing that I found was fascinating about the Canby site is, you know, I raised my kids, you kind of went to a restaurant, but I noticed what you just talked about, like families are going to the one in Canby and the kids are going, and it's really a family community spot. I was quite impressed with how it was done. And then just the dynamics of how the business has got the foot traffic. And I think that location would help those tenants in that area start to get some foot traffic on Portland Avenue from that standpoint. Great point. So Steve.
And again, I don't live here, but if I wish that a project like this would come to where I live.
That's a very good point.
You know, it'd be
Steve and I
nice
live in
that,
Wilsonville.
yeah,
We don't have anything like this.
it'd be nice. You know,
we don't have that. Well, yeah, but okay.
From a perspective of, you know, I used to work for a private sector developer, and I've been in public sector real estate. I think this is a really strong proposal. I think that it's a qualified team. I think that you're frankly lucky to get a proposal that preserves the building. I didn't think that was going to be likely. One comment on the cost and what they're putting forward is going back to the appraisal that was conducted on this building. You know, one of the things I recall being called out is, while there was an environmental assessment where they went in and they looked for hazardous materials in the building, they didn't do a condition assessment. So I think that should really be taken into consideration on the value of that building. Is, you know, there's no condition assessment made of the roof or, any other things with that building. So I think that probably the value is much less than $700,000 is what I recall, on the order of 700,000 of what was there. So I don't know if anybody was kind of like getting hung up on their proposal for 50 grand, but my take is it seems pretty fair to me.
Yeah, thank you for that, for Steve, because the existing roof conditions are going to have to, they called out, they've recognized that. And then there was, I think, some asbestos tile in there that they would have to remove. And then the bathrooms, and I concur with you. I think it's a very reasonable gesture what they thought. So, okay, moving on. Oh,
if I can just make a couple
yeah.
comments, please. And again, I apologize for not being there in person. I agree. I kind of agree with all of you. I totally hear the kind of the lacking small business idea, and that being kind of one of the themes in there. However, I think for this location, for the history of the spot, for preserving the building, and these folks are a known entity. So as you've talked about, we've seen some of the stuff they've done. We see what they can bring to the community. One thing that I really found with their proposal, which rang really was like a loud bell, was like heart. I could feel heart in what they were saying and some passion. It wasn't generic. It didn't seem like AI. It felt heartfelt. And that was, there's a personal story there too with the folks going in there. So I think that's important. So there's a little more skin in the game in a sense. I wouldn't mind talking about a little bit of a different color scheme that maybe falls in line with our city colors, to kind of brighten it up a little bit. I like kind of brighter colors for that liveliness, and I'm not sure if their color scheme is set in stone, or I just want to comment on that. The investment part, yeah, when I saw that 50,000, I was like, eesh, I don't know. But then when we look at the amount that they're going to be investing into the building and into the community, it does balance out. In some way, that's debatable, but I think it's a good thing. I do want to just make a comment about talking to some of the local business folks in our city. And it comes to, and I find this in small cities that I've been to all around. The question of are more restaurants good for the community? And some people are like, yes, it is great. It brings more people down. And other people are in the kind of the mindset that why do we need to have another bar? This is going to be a source of competition. And I understand that too. I think overall, I don't remember who said it, but yeah, I think we're kind of lucky. We have someone with heart that's willing to invest in our community, to do something that's a community space and good for the kids. That said, I know a lot of non-drinkers, people that are sober that, they're maybe, there's not a ton of places where they can go where there isn't alcohol. So I just want to comment on that. But I think overall, I feel really good about this. I love preserving the building. I'm kind of into that stuff. So, yeah, no, I appreciate their effort, and I think we're lucky to have this option.
Thank you, Andrew. Okay, moving on to number 2, site design and compatibility. Again, I think what the adaptive reuse of what they're proposing really sits well with what Andrew just talked about, but we'll just take this, and Kathy, you want to go ahead there again too?
And I will just say, I really like the colors. So you're going to get some that do and some that don't. I think it's modern and fresh. I personally don't prefer bright colors, but that's just me. So I like that this is an open, I think they did a beautiful job using that site to create a modern look, a welcoming look. And I too have been to Canby, which is spectacular. They took that old library site, and it is a beautiful site. And the Oregon City Brewery, they took that site, which was basically a gravel parking lot. And that, because I got to watch that be a flooring store for a long time. No foot traffic. You go in, you get your carpet, you go out. And when they put Oregon City Brewery in and did the upgrades, that prompted an additional site next door, corner 14, which is food carts and a bar, but they have beer, wine, sodas, ciders. That place is happening. That then prompted more development of retail space across the street, high-end restaurants. Kennard came in. So these kinds of things, while I disagree with this is wash, rinse, and repeat, this is a unique site, they will, looking at these photos, if this is what we end up with, we're going to be very fortunate.
Thank you. Cool.
So in my professional life, I work for a company that that repurposes historic buildings.
Oh.
And so when I see this, I really appreciate the fact that this group came in, looked at the existing property and, want to keep it and, make it something new, right? But I'm hoping that we would still be able to incorporate some of that history from Gladstone and, keep that integrity. So that said, I feel as far as the site design and compatibility, I would probably score this highly. And I also appreciate that it's a one-story concept. I just was picturing another developer coming in and, going 4 stories up, and I don't know, it would just change kind of the landscape of Portland Avenue. So at any rate, yes, I just appreciate the work that they put in as far as the design.
Yeah, thank you. They leaving those glue lamps in the building are just amazing to see that. And then one of the things that really caught my eye on their proposal is, we have all those beautiful bookshelves left in there, and they're going to repurpose those. So that's going to, I'm thinking about too, maybe how we got the significance of the trolley trail. Maybe we can put some art up in there to really tie that in there, work with them on that. But it really was impressive. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so it's clear I'm the Lone Ranger here, and that's okay.
Okay.
But I will say, of all of the sections, this was the one that I thought they did really well. I loved the reuse of the building. That is such a cool mid-century modern old building. And then exactly the point where they're going to reuse the old bookshelves and reuse some of the wood, like that is so unique and very cool. Yeah, as far as the concept or the context, I mean, I think as a mom here that's actively raising her 3 kids in Gladstone, we don't need another bar. We already go to Arlington Tap House. Already go to the Oregon City food carts. Drinking is at a 90-year low and trending downwards. So yeah, that's just kind of where I come from. I think it could serve the community better, but in terms of the site design and compatibility, I think it's a beautiful building if they can reuse it. So I'm in.
Okay, thank you.
Yep, I would score them high on the site design and compatibility, just for all the reasons everybody's already kind of outlined here. It would be a tough site to start over onto. I wouldn't want that be tasked with that job. So yeah, I'd score them high.
Thank you.
I would as well, for several reasons. I think sometimes when you start revisioning, repurposing, and redeveloping, it starts a trend. I can see that happening on Portland Avenue. I believe the building repurposed right across from the new library will only complement each other. Mm-hmm. And those are the 2 anchors of which I'd like to see the trend continue on Portland Avenue. So yes, I would score this 20 points.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really something when you think about having some anchors, you already have Arlington Tap House, right? And having that other anchor by the library. And then you think about the diner, those could be really great adaptive, what we're doing here, mm-hmm. Going parcel by parcel, really building that, and would be great there. So, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I scored it high in this category as well. I think it seemed to be sensitive to the historic character of the building and would adapt really well to the use that they're proposing.
I don't have anything to add.
We're just trying to find a building like this for Steve and I in Wilsonville. All right, thank you. So the third one, Andrew, sorry, Andrew.
Gee, come on, John.
We'll start with you on next one. We'll go reverse. We'll start with you. So you got 2 and 3, Andrew, and then we'll go back through Steve. So you got
I'm totally in agreement.
Design and then community benefit.
Yeah, perfect for the I think the design is good. We could get all nitpicky about specific things, but I think overall it's going to be just fine. And I'm sorry, what's the next one here? I don't have the
next one, community benefit and activation. Provides clear community benefits such as public access, culture, event space, small retail, youth activation or cafe uses, year-round activity that complements downtown Gladstone.
Minus the retail part of it, which who knows what can also be a part of that building in the future. You know, if they're kind of creative and innovative folks, then maybe we can get some type of other little retail somehow associated with it. So I think there's still potential for that. I think it's yeah, good. So aside from maybe that retail part, I feel like it is a good fit for the community. Because I think we have to be mindful of kind of where this starts and why we're in this situation in the first place is because of the word park. The word park was a part of the library verbiage. And because the word park was in there, the city had to, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but the city kind of had to go through a process to say, hey, we're getting rid of park. Is it okay if we do this? And that's why we've done everything that we've done. So there are a lot of people out there that are in the mindset that it should be an actual park. And I've heard great ideas about gazebos and places for outdoor events. I think in a lot of ways, this kind of scratches that itch. We can do those types of things. We can have events there. It keeps the history, the community engagement. So I'm hopeful for sure. And also, I think the turnaround time on this for the building, if everything goes as they hope, and we add 3 or 4 months, because that's how life goes, I think that we can get this turned around and going pretty quickly for our community. So yeah, I'm excited about all that.
Thank you. Steve?
I guess just in general, urbanists, people that do urban planning and try and program out where you have like a third place, it's often programmed out, but it's very rarely executed. And again, I think that the community, if it's my community, I'd feel lucky that somebody was going to actually execute on this. You don't have somebody that's coming in and wants to put in yet another insurance office or something along those lines. A dentist, yeah.
Dentist, we got a lot of insurance dentists down the street. Thank you, Steve. That's a great point.
Oh, my turn?
Yeah.
I don't have anything to add at this point.
Okay.
We're on number 3, the community benefit and activation. Is that correct? I think it's going to be great for our city and for our community. So I'm all for it.
Thank you.
Yeah, I definitely think it brings community benefits, public access. Yeah, just based on what they've laid out, I see that I'd score it high because I think they could hit on all those in some form or fashion. And again, that what they're doing to the space too, it really they'll be able to make different modifications in the future too. So not saying that it won't last a long time, but you could add different sections in that space, to accommodate other retailers or whatnot down the road. So
it looks like it can be repurposed.
Yeah, repurposed even after. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, I think you guys already know my thoughts here. But I would say, like, when I look at the description for community benefit and activation, we talk about youth activation, small retail, cafe uses, all of which I'm not fully seeing in this. Like, obviously the kitchen would take place in the food cart. But in terms of like propping up other businesses or anything else like that, this does seem sort of single use to me. I would say the other thing that was sort of a dream for me was incorporating, or still is, incorporating downtown Gladstone businesses into Gladstone's CTE programs and at the high school. And I think that this, spot, being that it's a drinking establishment, probably wouldn't be a place that we could do a lot of programming for youth with the high school. So yeah, this one is kind of meh for me.
What are the CTE programs at the high school?
It's called like career technical development.
What
and
are
it's basically helping students sort of figure out what their career journey is going to be, whether that's a trades person, or some sort of, cashier or, any sort of different career journey. And high schools are offering all sorts of different programs for high schoolers to figure this out. Yeah, or college.
But
Yeah.
does the high school, we work with high schools too, and a lot of CTE
Yeah.
programs are established. So like they have they'll have an automotive program, electrical
Yeah.
program. What programs does Gladstone's high school have?
I don't know.
Oh, they don't have, okay.
I don't know.
Okay.
So,
Do you know?
so Andrew and I could hopefully answer this. I know that there's 5 tracks, one of which would be like manufacturing, one's healthcare. Andrew, help me out here. What are the other 3? That's embarrassing. At any rate,
Well, that's okay. There's a lot to it, but yes, continue, Nicole. Yep.
But yes, we have the 5 different tracks, and to Kyle's point, I hear you, and I do understand. But I do appreciate that this is a family friendly, or it's presented as a family friendly establishment, and so I would hope that we could still utilize the space for those types of gatherings. Of course, still working with the community center as well, here with the city. So, and I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you if you were, okay.
Good.
Okay. So along those, that's really just what I wanted to add. And also to Kyle's point, as far as that is correct, that we are at a 90-year low as far as people drinking, but I feel that folks that run these types of establishments, and I know this from my own professional life, that we're pivoting and we're finding ways to bring in guests that maybe aren't interested in drinking. So I would hope that this group, even though, yes, it is focused on a beer library, would probably, encompass some other things as well.
I think those are great
oh.
points. One of the things that we've seen in some of the other cities is like Mount Angel had a similar, they worked with the city and the library and with the schools and had like trivia night there. So the library came and did trivia night for the family. So it wasn't just, and I think it could be something we have to build as we go working on Portland Avenue, build a relationship with the school district, right? And it could be a way to connect the businesses with some of those programs and have events and think about how we sponsor and build that relationship and help activate that. So I think it's a great opportunity to think about what you're talking about with how could we work with the site with the owners on programming and thinking about that in the future. I think will be attraction for even further businesses coming in there.
And what I would love is in the future, we don't, as far as CTE programming at the high school, we currently don't have a culinary track, but a lot of our neighboring districts do. And so ideally, I would love to see that in the future and then help, obviously it's hard to hire people at some of these restaurants in Gladstone. So it'd be nice to have some sort of pathway for that.
So your 5 STE tracks are health sciences, engineering, technology, business management, digital arts, information and communications technology.
Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate it. It was like right there.
But what an opportunity. You think about like the engineering with robotics going on, right? We could help sponsor event, have the family, just getting people to activate that corridor would be an opportunity there. So Kathy.
And if I may just chime in, because we're kind of talking about it, I've often envisioned because the high school, I believe the juniors and seniors can leave campus for lunch. I'm like, man, what if we had like a little shuttle that went downtown or something? Maybe not possible at all, but maybe there's something there to kind of get those kids into those facilities during their lunch breaks. But that's beside the point, I know, but just throwing it out there.
Okay, number 3, I'm working on, looking back at the RFP and what I watched in Oregon City, they really did create, one of the principles of this company is family-friendly operations, and they're really not blowing smoke. They do a lot of activities that bring families in, bring kids in. So it is a family-friendly gathering place. And they do a really good job of keeping it clean and monitored and well-maintained, which I really like. Because you really can't have activities if it's not kept up. They included an arcade and table game. So they've got a couple of rooms that say games. And looking at intergenerational use and casual social interaction. I think they hit the things that we were asking them to hit: trivia game nights, not-for-profit fundraisers, informal civic gatherings. They can have speakers. You can have book clubs. At the Oregon City site, they have a fire pit and book groups would come. Ladies would just reserve the fire pit. And you don't have to drink, but you have a nice social gathering place that's not in somebody's living room, which is kind of nice and centrally located. So I'm hoping, I'm not familiar with how the Canby site is functioning. I can only guess that it's similar. But that's sort of the guiding principle that I really like with this company.
Thank you. I would just say I went to the Canby site and I was just in awe, like how many families with young kids there. But you touched on something that I was really impressed was the cleanliness they had cleanliness in the bathrooms and a number of bathrooms because families were coming there. So the operations that they run, I was impressed, and I was shocked because I watched these families come and 3 kids go to 3 different, but it's that generation. And then you look at what happened at like the old Willamette West Lynn with the old Willamette garage, right? I go by there's families in there, kids, everyone, and it's just really activated that. So to your point, so yeah, thank you. So, all right, moving on to Andrew. Development feasibility and financial capacity. We'll start with you.
I mean, I think it's quite feasible. It seems I scored high on that. I don't really have too many comments on that. Thank you.
Okay. Kathy? We'll go back this way.
Okay.
Then we'll come back that way. We only got a couple more. Thank you.
I like that they're ready to go. I mean, we could have a beautiful site and not continued blight, which we are used to in this city on Main Street. I mean, we had a hole in the ground for decades. So I'm not really interested in having a building continuing to rot. So we could have a nice active place by fall, which would be amazing. And they're ready to go. So I scored high.
Yeah, yes, I agree. I appreciated that, that there was a quick turnaround, that from what I can tell, it's, fully privately financed, just long-term ownership. And, as far as the price, 50,000, I mean, I did kind of like wince at that, but I appreciate hearing some of the feedback as far as, well, actually, given the condition of the building, that seems like a pretty decent deal. So, so thank you for that feedback.
Yeah, the one thing that I noticed is they've obviously done this before, so they know what they're doing. So I can appreciate that. One more note that's not in this topic is, I've definitely been to the Oregon City food carts. I go there all the time. I've never been to the Canby one. Is that the other one they've done? Does that one have several food carts too?
Yeah, the Canby one. Yeah.
Okay, nice. So this only has one, right?
Yeah, they bring it. They're using basically a food cart for their kitchen.
For their kitchen, yeah.
And I don't know if you've seen these food carts nowadays. It's actually pretty smart.
Yeah.
Because these food carts are just the design of these kitchens inside these food carts. Have you seen the ones at the Arlington Tap House?
Yeah.
There? I'm like, oh my God. I mean, they got the whole Ansel system and everything in them, and they're set up, so like the cost of putting a kitchen in the building, is quite expensive, but being able to run it that way, it's pretty ingenuity, like thinking of that from that standpoint. So I think that's creative.
Yeah, I think the only thing is, so much of what people love going to these community spaces with these set food carts is that there's lots of options for the whole family. So I think this is sort of trying to mimic what they've done, but on a much smaller scale, which, I'm not trying to be the naysayer here. I promise you will definitely see me and my 3 kids here when this is built. However, like, I am just looking at what we described as the descriptions, and some of these things don't actually go along or are not mentioned in their RFP. I get that we're sort of dreaming about it as we talk about it here, but there are things that are not called out in their RFP that we identified as our scoring rubric. So that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, thank you.
All right, regarding the feasibility, it does seem like a pretty aggressive schedule. I probably would think it would they're going 3 months construction. That's pretty tough. I know people, the market, everybody's not too busy at the moment, but I know the industry's picking up, but well, I don't know. We'll see. Their budget looks pretty good. I definitely would have expected the mechanical lines to be up there because you're cutting in the grease interceptors and whatnot, catch all the food. That it seems feasible. I would imagine it'd probably be more like November, but yeah, we'll see what they could do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
I scored high because they've been there, done that, so they know what they're doing. And I'm a little old school, so I like experienced people that are coming in with vast knowledge and already done it.
Yep.
So.
Thank you.
I'm impressed by their finances, having it lined up, but I'm wondering if we're not going to get some blowback on the $50,000. And if
Yeah.
that was what we were going to sell it for to begin with, maybe we would have had other developers weigh in at the same time. Don't know. So good luck. I hope they can get it done the way they want.
Yeah, I'd rake it high for feasibility and their capacity to complete it. I forgot to mention that, one of the things that the county was able to do is we have a couple of subscription services that marketed the site. We put it out to 475 brokers in the Northwest via vertical mail. And we also put it on CoStar, which is a proprietary commercial real estate listing service. And I sent the listing stats to John, but as I recall, we had people that viewed it from all over the country, and it had nearly 5,000 views. So out of all that, we've got one response. I'll just remind you of that. And this was the same that happened with we did the same thing with the courthouse in Oregon City, and we got one response. So my personal opinion is that it's good that we got a response. Otherwise, yeah.
And can you remind us, was it the same group that did the courthouse or was it a different group?
It's a different group.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Yeah, I think that's, and we do appreciate the county posting that out. And we did, we pushed out to a lot of people. We also pushed out to the Urban Land Institute. So, to your great point, Steve, there. So, all right, going back through experience, team, and qualifications. Andrew, you're up. Good. Got a thumbs up on that one. Okay, Steve, next. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I don't have anything to add.
Okay.
Experience, I've done it before, so I'm good.
Same here. Been there, done that.
Yep, I'd score them high on that item.
Same.
Yes, same. I'm glad that they've have a proven track record.
Same, nothing to add.
Okay, great. Number 6, the implementation timeline and readiness. I think it's like you said, maybe a little aggressive on the schedule, but I think it's definitely doable for this year.
Sure.
I think there's got to go through council and move through some of those steps, but I do like that they have done this before, that you guys have talked about that. So, Andrew, do you want to talk about timeline readiness? And then we'll go back to Kathy from there.
Yeah, I tend to think that everything goes longer than it's planned. I guess I'm curious about some hiccups that could come up as they start, because they still need to review some of the paperwork about this site. So I'm wondering if I'm just mindful of some hiccups that might occur that could derail the project, that we may or may not be aware of yet. I'd love the timeline to work out, but yeah, I guess we'll see.
Okay. Yeah, Kathy.
Well, I went to the site when we had the open house, and the timeline may be a little aggressive, but I think they're with the Canby site, it was it was a difficult site, and the build out was huge there. Because I remember watching that, and it took a significant amount of time. This is a much smaller site. There was pretty significant dry rot
In the walls, yeah.
in the walls, and then the mitigation that needs to happen. So, it depends a lot on if it gets really busy, finding, the proper folks to do the proper job, the electricians, whatever. But I don't see this being a years and
Me neither.
years
No, I
of
see it.
a timeline, a month or two. I'd
Mhm.
be thrilled with
Yeah,
that.
I think it's very doable this
Yeah.
year.
I mean, I feel like we've already kind of touched on this quite a bit, but as far as, yes, the timeline, like everyone has said, it seems aggressive, but if we can, even if we run a little bit late, it still seems really soon to me. I mean, given how long it's been sitting vacant and dilapidated. So anyway, thank you.
No comment.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I do think they can get it done this year. It's just a matter of moving forward. So
I believe they can do that as well. My only concern is, do we know the timeline of how long it's taking to get permits
I know I saw that line.
through Clackamas County? How far behind are we? Is Clackamas County on, how quickly can you get a permit?
What they say.
Well, the good news is we have Steve here to help us. When they get this, once we get to that point, we'll be like, I think, it's the great, relationship we have with the city and county. And I think it's just, helping them get through that process. And from that standpoint, I think that's something that we could.
That and being able to obtain materials. Those are
Yeah.
my two concerns.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Yeah. Well, they got, looks like they're doing roofing. That could take
Yeah.
time to get. Storefront doors, probably like 8 to 10 weeks. Yeah. I don't know. Without looking at their specs, it's tough to really put a number on it, but things are taking a lot longer these days to get.
Yeah, that's my only concern.
So a lot of stuff going on in Gladstone right now. And the vagaries of the market and the tariffs and all that kind of stuff are just always out there. So I'm hoping the timeline will work out. I'm hoping Steve can help us out with permits.
Yeah.
But yeah.
No pressure, Steve.
Get in any type of county permitting, our permitting process, relatively speaking, is I have not heard of any huge backlogs. And I'd also add that, on the developers from that side of the fence, that, they have the incentive that, they're paying money every month with, significant interest. So they have a strong incentive to get that up, get the tenant in there and paying rent.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they're just as incentivized as can be to get it out and done as soon as possible.
Thank you. All right, the last one, sustainability and resiliency. Andrew, I think they kick it up to you, but I think they did talk about Energy Trust somewhere in their proposal, if I recall. So Andrew, start with you, and then we'll go back to you, Steve.
I think that the general idea of reusing the building, I think, is good overall. I mean, I don't recall anything about solar panels or anything along those lines. But I think reusing the building, it's kind of speaks to some of that, but otherwise I'll pass it along.
Yeah, I don't have much to add on that. It's building reuse. Oregon has like the most strict energy code in the nation in any way. So that's all I have.
Well, yeah, we are reusing a building, parts of which are pretty bad. And I didn't see anything about solar, but it seems like it'd be a logical place to do solar, a bigger array of solar if possible. So hopefully they'll factor that in.
I think it's great that they're repurposing the old library building. It has had a lot of neglect in the past, but it was built with good materials and old growth timber. So the bones are good. But yeah, I think it could be very sustainable. The fact that it's going to be large and open, it could be used for many, either retail, gathering places, event, place, whatever. It still has a lot of life left in it.
Yeah.
So.
Yep. Yeah, just the fact yeah, like everybody said, they're reusing the building. Doubt you'll see solar on it. Those benefits are kind of gone now due to the current administration. But yeah, so you're basically paying for that yourself at this point. And Energy Trust of Oregon, that's just labels on products, pretty much approved ones. But they work better. They're more efficient.
Okay.
Sure.
Thank you.
Nothing else to say other than what everyone else has already said.
Yes, just by repurposing the building, I would hope that, we would have a lower carbon impact and just, less demolition waste. So I appreciate that.
Nothing else to add.
That's a great point on the carbon impact there. That was a great point there.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for going through all these. The next thing there's a couple things. One, it's the 24th, Jackie, right, that we have the city council meeting. And I'd like to see if there's some volunteers that would like to come to the city council that night and talk about the overall proposal, just your recommendation here. I also need you to fill out your scorecard here, your name, date, and then if you can put your scores and then overall recommendation at the bottom there, and then we'll collect those when you leave and compile those. So are there any volunteers for the 24th meeting to come and talk to Andrew and his team? Thank you, Kathy.
I could come.
Okay, thank you. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you very much for all your time over the last, 3-4 months doing this. It's been really appreciate everyone's time and I think the participation in it and the mindfulness and the thoughtfulness of this and greatly appreciate it and excited to see what city council does from there. So thank you so much.